Oop. Are we on? I don't see it on the thing. Okay, God, I have to not do that. Okay. Anyway. Hello and welcome. If you are, no, we're not on. Not yet. No.
Advertising.
I subscribe to No Pants, so
Me too.
just humble brag on that one. Yeah. How did you do the food thing today?
No, it's gonna start December 3rd.
Awesome. That's cool. That's
And
very
I called I asked Marie to find a foodie for the first show because she was asking me if anybody from No Pants is interested in doing it. And I was like, find someone for December and then I'll see if anyone is interested in January, and it's totally optional.
And I was like, I want to do it. I want to do it.
Yeah.
If you ever need the opposite of a foodie, then that's me. So
But yeah,
like,
not like a
hand cook.
successful foodie.
Yeah.
It is not, I don't know why. It still says while No Pants is offline.
Have you refreshed it, darling?
No, I have not.
Oh, well done.
I have refreshed it, and oh nope, I see our faces. There we are.
Very good.
Good news is the chat is rather undersubscribed. Okay, just me and the bots. Okay, well, hello there, anybody who watches this after the fact. Welcome to No Pants Improv's very first foray into the wonderful world of Lady Jane Austen. We are going to be presenting a 100% improvised take on the intrigues of the Regency era, starting now. Thank you so much for watching. I dare say, Louisa, your work has gotten quite a bit better recently. I see your hand is steadier.
I still do not much take to women's work. Piano and embroidery, it just seems so frivolous. I would rather a man's job be in the army or business, or have an estate or something to keep me busy that were of some use.
How terribly awkward. Your hands would get quite rough and you'd lose a lot of your soft femininity that so makes us a greater creature.
Louisa, I do not know how you can say such things to your dear aunt. As your mother, I would like you to please take it back and offer her the respect that she is due.
I do apologize, Aunt Cordelia. It's just that I've never been very good at these things, and you and Mother you excel at keeping a home and being members of society. And I do confess I feel rather quite intimidated, as I must soon enter society and run a home one of these years myself, and I do not feel up to the task, I must confess.
Oh, Louisa, sweet young Louisa, you are amply up to the task. You're a young woman of independent fortune from a family that is very exceedingly well connected. Really, the task is simply just to be, and all you need to do is perhaps be silent. Prudent. Well, don't take it from me. As you know, I am unmarried, so perhaps my example not the best.
No,
Miriam, she just speaks nonsense. You just need to put it out of your head. As we know, Louisa is just fine. She shall be marrying any day now, as soon as we find a suitable match.
Have you?
And meanwhile, you must practice that cross-stitch, because really, darling, it is an embarrassment to come into company with a daughter who is not quite as respectable as
she ought to be. I agree. A young woman's accomplishments are all she has to recommend her, and your accomplishments are, I will say, a bit lacking. I don't mean that to be cruel, of course. Should so like to see you succeed in your artistic endeavors at the pianoforte, perhaps, but as of now, you show no natural talent towards it.
Oh, darling, dear, I must see to the tea. Where is that Marianne? I shall return. I must see to the tea.
Louise, I hope you think I've not been too hard on you.
Oh, Aunt Cordelia, perhaps if I understood why it was you never got married, I could see more of a future for myself.
Well, I am much younger than your mother. I am but 24. I still have plenty of time, and of course I was detained for quite some time with my mother, who was ill, and I was to care for her principally, and I had rather a misspent attachment, which did deter me for some amount of time from marriage again. But I think, nevertheless, somewhat still eligible should someone have a liberal point of view about these things.
Quite right, Aunt Cordelia, quite right. I'm ever so sorry if I disturbed you.
No, of course not, child. For you could never, the likes of you could never disturb the likes of me. You're just too sweet and inconsequential.
Ah, my dear Louisa, it's lovely to see you doing this sort of work, but I feel like a daughter of mine should be grasping the reins of a horse, perhaps. I was hoping that you might like to join myself and the rest of the gentlemen. We're planning on hunting some foxes tomorrow.
Really?
Father, do you mean it?
Of course I do.
I'll get ready immediately. I must prepare myself for that.
Attend your mother, child.
Fitzwilliam, you do encourage her.
Yeah, she enjoys it. And besides, she's our only child. She should be, well-rounded.
Your want of a son does not give you the right to make one out of whatever materials you have available.
Ah, Cordelia, well, you certainly seem to be trying to make some materials out of that cross-stitch that you're working there. No, I think Louisa should be allowed to do the things that interest her. How about a bit of shooting, perhaps, or a bit of time with me out hunting a fox, perhaps, or enjoying a snifter of brandy?
Fitzwilliam, I can't say that I understand it. I leave you to my sister, who thankfully is the one who married you.
Quite.
My darling, what can you have in mind?
I think I have in mind that my daughter should be someone who does things she enjoys instead of being trapped behind a pianoforte for the rest of her life.
And would you have her at 24, like my darling Cordelia, who I love dearly, but will be living with us for the rest of our natural lives? Would you have her unmarried at 24?
Of course not. I want her to be happy.
18 years of age. It is time for her to meet the right suitable gentleman. And I didn't tell you, Mrs. Packison has told me that the manor house is to let.
Really?
Yes, it has sat empty for so long, and now it is to let. So who knows what family might indulge and take on such a prime property. So
I'll have to let her know that we're out, doing a little hunting. Perhaps she knows a extra eligible gentleman. There'll be quite a few young bachelors on that fox hunt. I'm sure Louisa will have her pick.
I do not understand you, Fitzwilliam.
Cordelia, always so fiery, keeping me in line. I love it.
Whatever. you.
Father Hamish.
Oh, right. Father Hamish is right down the block. I'm here to deliver a package.
Oh, all right.
Oh.
Whatever could it be? I am only here to visit the father. I will pass it along to him.
Thank you, ma'am.
Father Hamish.
Yes, yes. I'm so sorry. You've caught me quite indisposed. I did not know that my arrival here at the parsonage had been announced. Hello there. May I have the pleasure of your introduction?
Yes. Well, it's really, my brother, the Duke, is letting the manor house up the street, and
Oh, of course, of course. I can't believe I did not recognize your beauty from the moment I clapped eyes on it. I, of course, am Parson Hamish.
yes, Father. As you know, my brother is determined to marry, and I do wish to come to you to seek knowledge of what eligible young ladies who are, perhaps of a promising future and nature, preferably with an income, may be suitable for my brother, so I may guide him in the proper direction.
You are so cunning, Madame, in this regard. It is so important to have a firm hand on such relations as marriage from the outset. I only must apologize grievously because I myself am very newly installed to this parish, having come from Lancashire and not knowing very much at all quite yet as to the local families. I have been told from very reputable sources, though, that the Hartwells over at Cantmore Cottage are quite respectable, of good fortune and property, and that really, I think, is the majority of the society in this particular area. It's quite a little nook, such as it is.
Well, I have heard that they have a daughter named Louisa who is treated as if she were a son. I mean, what a scandal. I would never do for such a woman as a sister by law. And that's
I had heard that as well. It is really most unfortunate if true, because she would make a most advantageous match otherwise. She is a young woman of independent income and fortune, so she need not, well, don't let me get ahead of myself, but I am so excited to meet her myself. It is only that I have heard the same. There is another eligible woman in the house, as of yet, Miss Debenham, who is just but 24, but quite feminine and accomplished. I've heard that she cuts a ravishing figure and is very well domesticated. If I might entreat you, I had planned to make an introductory visit to the Cantwells, Cantwell House tomorrow. If you would accompany me, or your brother would like to accompany me, I would be most honored to make their acquaintance with you.
Well, tomorrow I am not available, but I shall send my brother in my stead with clear instructions not to bring home any, possible match who would undermine the status of the family. And I do trust you, Father Hamish, will guide him so in the right direction.
Oh, you may absolutely rely and depend on me, for I am the very figure of taste and discretion. I am, of course, of a noble family in birth myself, just a second son, as it were, and certainly would never be a part of any impropriety or bad match. Heaven forbid, never.
I see, Father. Well, I must away. I leave everything in your very capable hands, and I trust that you will not disappoint me.
I am so honored by your trust and your visits. Thank you so much, madam. You shall not be disappointed. It will be a lovely afternoon in which we procure a very fine match for your brother.
Farewell.
Farewell.
Ah, well, it is quite beautiful here, I must say. This ride has been absolutely stunning.
I'm delighted you've enjoyed the country. It's been most lovely, I think. And are you quite prepared to meet the young ladies Hartwell?
Ah, yes, I rather am, Father Hamish. You know, I think it might be quite nice to get to meet him and old Colonel Hartwell. I've heard about his exploits in India. I must say, I'm sure he has some quite interesting stories being garrisoned in Calcutta.
Oh, I'm sure that is all quite fascinating. It sounds quite austere a living. I myself, of course, could not join the army as I was impressed into the ecclesiastical services, but I do admire a man of brawn. But your sister did bade me remind you that your primary interest in this visit is, as is mine, to meet the ladies Cantwell, who hopefully are quite lovely.
Father, uh, excuse me, Father, and good sir, I'm on my way home from the dressmaker, and it seems my horse is taken lame, and I am without recourse.
I'd be glad to give a lady a lift.
Could you perhaps? I am to Cantwell House. I do not know if this is on your way. I would hate to trouble you.
Oh, you are Lady Louisa then?
Right, yes, indeed. Lady Louisa.
Ah, well, what a pleasure.
I don't believe I've had the pleasure.
This is most unexpected. We haven't had but an introduction. Oh my, well.
I think we can make one, Father Hamish. I am Duke Arthur of Lancaster. You can just call me Arthur, if it's all right.
Duke Arthur. Mm-hmm.
Arthur, yes, and Father, your name is you are
Father, I'm Pastor Hamish, and you may just call me Pastor Hamish. I think would suffice. So I'm very intrigued to meet your entire family. I had hoped only to do it more ordinarily than perhaps these circumstances permit. But I see that your house is just but on the yonder, so.
Yes, good sirs. Please do forgive my appearance with a lame horse. I was never expecting to meet such, esteemed people as yourself here on the road. And
it's quite all right. I quite understand. I see your horse there a few hundred yards back, trying to make his way. Why don't
I will attend to the horse. Please, I will. It is for a humble servant of God to handle horses and other lame creatures. It's practically part of my job, my profession. So I'll leave you two alone to make your acquaintances while I help that poor creature. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, Lady Louisa, you must be tired after your walk. Can I help you onto my horse?
Oh, Duke Arthur, you are ever so kind. I must confess that I took quite a shock
there you are.
meeting you here on the street, and I feel quite unprepared to make your acquaintance, although I'm so glad to see you.
Well, I think that such a beautiful flower as yourself blooms wherever she's planted.
Thank you.
But if I may, I'd be glad to lead Nutmeg here. He's quite a spirited fellow. I'm taking to him quite well, though. Perhaps I could just...
I talk too much, and so I dare not talk too much. It's just that, my needlepoint is awful, and Father says I shall never get married. And oh, good. Why am I telling you all of this? I'm so sorry. I must remember myself.
Please talk on. I find it endlessly charming.
Well, I do wish that we could go on home now and you could meet Father so that we could be more properly introduced, because I would hate to be seen out here just with a man not known to my family yet, even though you are a respectable man and I think rather quite handsome. It's just, may we go home?
All right, I think Nutmeg here can be our chaperone, but if you feel like he would be in better stead at your stable, I'm sure I'd be willing to send him on with you. If he promises to be a good boy, and fetch him later at your stable, perhaps.
Well, perhaps you could just drive us home, and once we are there and you've made Father's acquaintance, we might perchance take a turn about the garden or have a picnic or sit about the drawing room, and you could meet the family.
Louisa! Louisa! Louisa!
That sounds wonderful.
Louisa! What are you doing out here? Oh my! Oh, hello. Louisa, you must come home at once. What is happening?
I'm terribly sorry, ma'am. I was just taking care of a lady who found herself with a lame horse. I'm Duke Arthur of Lancaster. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Oh, sir. Yes. Oh, no, it is entirely inappropriate. Louisa, it's entirely inappropriate for you to be out here with a man.
Well, she's not alone. She's here with myself and my horse, a chaperone.
Yes, I shall walk home. Thank you, Arthur, Duke Arthur. It's been ever so lovely to make your acquaintance. And Mother, I must away. I'm so sorry.
Very well. I think we might have frightened them off, old boy.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Forgive my sister and my niece. They were simply very excited with the news of your coming. If I might, I could escort you to our drawing room, and you could stay for tea.
I'd be glad to do that, Miss.
I'm Miss Cordelia.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Miss Cordelia. Well, I suppose I could help you onto my horse. I see you find yourself rather far from the manor house. I would hate to make you walk.
It's closer than you might think. It's right behind me, really. Yes, come with me. Let's away. And by now, my sister will have regained her senses, and my niece will be prepared to greet you properly. I'm sure. I hope you don't judge us too harshly by our strange first acquaintance.
Not at all. I'd be glad to make your acquaintance, Lady Cordelia. Shall we?
Please, thank you. I have escorted Sir Arthur, the Duke, home. You simply cannot abandon him on the road as you have. But he's been most gracious. He seemed to have lost sight of the parson who had also been calling. He seems to have been lost in the woods. So I suppose I best go look for him. Well,
he's quite a strange man. Father Hamish, I believe he's called, must be Scottish or something, but he's quite a strange man, ever so flighty and eager to run away. I'm not sure what to make of him. I would perhaps be interested in what you think once you make his acquaintance, in your impression.
I certainly find him.
Father Hamish. Well, I've heard from Mrs. Roberton that, well, in the evenings he likes a little bit of a tipple, a little bit of too much of a tipple in my estimation. However, he does seem to be a kind man, and I have also heard that he does serve the poor when possible.
I mean, he has fixed quite a nice lodgings at the parsonage, which is his in outright, and he does have a good income. So I shouldn't turn my nose up at his acquaintance. Certainly I should go find him in the woods, I suppose. I do entreat you. I have left the Duke with Mr. Cantwell, and you should probably rescue him at some point.
As you know, we have not formally met the Duke yet, and until your father,
I have given him a proper introduction to your father, to Mr. Cantwell. It is all set to rights. I had my friend Lady Basiley come over just for the purpose. You are all properly introduced. Do not stand in the way of your daughter's happiness.
Cordelia,
Yes.
I do not know if Mother would approve of you going after this priest as you are, and I do hear in your voice and from your language rather an interest in him, and I do not know if it is appropriate. I mean, he is a second son and only a priest. However, you are 24, and I do not know if another suitor will be coming.
I shall undertake for his recovery in the most proper of manners. I will impress upon service the gardener to accompany me so that I am chaperoned, and I will only merely direct him to find, seek out, and then take hold of this errant priest if I can. But do tell me what you think of the Duke. He does seem awfully nice and handsome.
It's William. It's William.
Yes. Sorry, I was just in the billiards room telling the Duke some stories about time in Rajasthan around the mountains.
So do tell us everything.
Yes, Father.
Nice.
What do you like?
Capital fellow. I've invited him to go fox hunting with us tomorrow.
Oh, and do say he can come to our picnic lunch today. Do say, Father.
Well, I guess I don't see why not, though. I was rather hoping that he'd just come back tomorrow. We can hand him a gun and see how he measures up.
I will tell the servants right away, and I think inviting him to the ride is such a good idea, Father, for as you know, I excel at riding and perhaps could make a good show of it with the Duke, but I would ever so much like to have him for lunch today, and I will let the servants know, and I'm sorry, I know I'm talking too much. Goodbye, Mother. Goodbye, Father.
No, it's not that. It's that I can't imagine that you are going to allow your daughter to go fox hunting. However, with the Duke, let us hope that today at the picnic she shall make a good impression.
I'm sure she will. I mean, my darling, I can't see how our Louisa would do anything else than make a good impression on anyone she meets. Why, all she has to do is tell them that story of how she learned how to shoot a gun.
But Mother, Father, please do say we needn't tell him of the scandal with Aunt Cordelia.
Of course.
Scandal, Cordelia?
Nothing, darling. Nothing.
Right.
Father,
Nothing to concern myself. Very good.
Father, she is 24 and unmarried. Really, I mean, must you bury your head in the sand to everything? Now, I do not think the Duke will take to me if we do not all get on the same page here. And I would just, please don't say anything, Father, now that you know.
Of course. Well, I must say, my dear, I did know Cordelia's age. I sort of resigned myself to having a old maid in the attic, as it were, in Miss Cordelia.
Now,
But you, Louisa, you're set for finer things.
did you tell the servants there must be... It is not the season. It's not the season for cucumbers, but I really do think that cucumbers must be obtained. And oh my, we must have those little sconces with the cream. Oh dear, I will check with the kitchen.
Yes, Cadwallader should have a good handle on cucumbers from somewhere.
Well, Father, you have always been the best of friends to me, and I must confess to you, Father, I know it. Most people think it inappropriate for a young woman such as myself, but you've always been so permissive, and I just must tell you that I love Duke Arthur. I find him the most charming, most handsome man, and I'm never taken to such feminine wiles as these, and I feel lost and confused, and I find myself running on and on and on because I just I feel a weird feeling in my stomach when he's around, Father, and I must go get ready for the picnic, but please don't ruin this for me.
Don't worry, dear. There's nothing I could do to ruin it. I can't see why he wouldn't fall madly for my beautiful gem of a daughter.
Well, the father has exhausted himself in the woods with the pony. And He's too tired to come to tea today, but he did graciously accept our invitation for the fox hunting picnic tomorrow.
Oh, excellent. Perhaps you could say the blessing before we ride out. May we find many foxes.
He is a kind of a strange man, unfortunately. I had hoped perhaps he would be comely. I don't.
I don't know anything about such things, but I think that Father Hamish looked rather distinguished when I saw him at the parsonage briefly while I was out today.
Oh, you had an introduction. That's very good. That's very good indeed to know, because I had been so worried about happening upon your young daughter on the road, just talking freely to the Duke and the parson without a care in the world. I thought she hadn't been introduced, and how improper that might be. And I'm so relieved to hear that they did, in fact, have an introduction.
What? My daughter was gallivanting about the unintroduced?
Yes, absolutely. When I came about her, she was behaving most indecorously, running on about how handsome she found the Duke and flattering him in all manner of ways, and struck me as very indiscreet, really.
Well, that's preposterous. Why, I don't think I could. I, myself and the Duke will have some words.
Perhaps maybe she should be disallowed from the fox hunt as a punishment.
Well, perhaps she should. You know, in fact, I think that's an excellent idea. Louisa?
Yes, Father.
Louisa had given to understand from Cordelia that you spoke to the Duke and the parson both unchaperoned?
Father, you must see that she's trying to keep me away from the Duke so she may have him for herself.
Well,
Father,
I only know. I'm sorry, go ahead. What do you have to say for yourself?
I did happen upon them on the road when the mare took lame, and I had no other way of which to come home, and he was with a vicar, and I thought it was rather inappropriate of this, I am aware, Father. However, it just that I needed help with the mare and to get home, and I didn't know how I would get home. I'm so
I think that a daughter of mine who appeared so unchastely with two men at the same time couldn't possibly trust her to passel of men at a fox hunt. No, you'll need to stay in your room while we find out whether or not your reputation has been damaged. Good day.
Father, I beg of you, see through this ruse of Cordelia's.
Oh, no, cousin, that's so sad. I'm so sad for you to see that Nisa, my Nisa, girl. It's not fair, is it? It's not fair at all, Louisa, for you to be stuck at home tomorrow during this rapturous fox hunt / picnic.
Oh, Cordelia, you've always cared for me ever so much, and I must confess I was taken by some emotion. I was quite stricken, when Father told me, but then I realized that, you probably need this more than me, and I know how desperate you are, and that you would stoop to such lengths just really,
Oh, I am simply trying to protect you from yourself, girl. The way that your foot had migrated so completely to your mouth by the time I ran up on you on the road. My Lord, the things you had said, so indecorous, so incompatible with a woman of taste and refinement. I thought simply to isolate you from yourself for a moment so that you might recollect the things that we do and do not say to gentlemen.
I see, and from this, am I to understand that Father Hamish did not take to your advances?
I did not advance, I simply introduced something that you neglected quite to do, and I saw fit to have him sent home in one piece so that he might be fit for the picnic tomorrow, which I may or may not attend myself.
You know, Cordelia, I wish Aunt Cordelia did not have to come to this, but I will tell the Duke of your scandal and why it is you are 24 unmarried if you steal him from me. So help me, I will.
You are such a perfect little fool. Do you think it would reflect well on you that your immediate blood, your family who shares the same roof as you, should be touched by some scandal? Do you think that you would improve your own position with the Duke in any material way by disclosing such a fact? You are as imprudent as it gets, my girl, and I tell you, at 24, I have enough sense to have double your lifetime. I am disappointed, quite. It is one thing to be in a certain gratifying and healthy sort of rivalry, and it is quite another to sully the name of yourself and your family for selfish aims such as yours. I hope you take time to reflect. I certainly will.
Duke. It's so I hear that your family is from Devon, which is a lovely county, and do you know the Brandenburgs?
No, yes, no,
Yes. Mrs.
I was
Brandenburg and I
with
met.
Brandenburg. I was.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Oh, you do know the Brandenburgs. Mrs. Brandenburg had met at Bath, and she gave me such a lovely remedy for my husband's gout, and he feels so much better now. So, if you do happen to return to Devon, which I do not hope that you do at any time soon, I do hope that you shall give her my greatest thanks and wish her all the well.
Oh yes, no, quite. I rather enjoyed being at her winter ball last year.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I was being handed around, but yes.
yes. The Brandenburgs do have such fine taste, such a fine taste. As we all shall strive to meet Mrs. Brandenburg's elegance. She is truly an elegant woman, I do believe. Yes.
Yes, no, I believe that as well. She seems.
And you know the Smith Jones. They are all also.
I'm acquainted with Lord Smith Jones. Yes, spent many an interminable hour sitting by him at the fireside, tell the same story about nearly winning a billiards game against the king himself.
Well, Mr. Smith Jones does go on. However, all of his stories are true. That is at least what I've heard. I have never had the pleasure myself of meeting the Smith Joneses, but I have heard that they are seen in court at least once every few years because of their connections with their cousins.
Yes, well, that's quite lovely. Perhaps it would be best if he recycles everything. Yes. Well, I believe I should be off. I'm rather looking forward to the fox hunt.
Oh, yes, of course. The fox hunt, I'm afraid my dear darling Louisa will not be able to join you at the fox hunt. However, I am sure that you shall have a lovely time with my darling Fitzwilliam, and is it true that you're bringing your sister, another woman, on the fox hunt?
Yes. No, I believe that my sister Cecily will join us. She's quite an accomplished young horsewoman.
Well,
I think she'll just be there for the picnic, though. I'm not the bride with the gentleman, of course. That would be.
Perhaps they did things a little bit differently in Devon, because my Louisa would never go on a fox hunt. No.
Really, she seemed like quite an accomplished rider, and
of course, yes.
Forest, really.
Rides nearly every day. Yeah, she has a lovely bay that was gifted to her by her uncle, who does love her very dearly. However, she would never go on a fox hunt. No.
What a shame.
But we must hasten. To the. I'm a little confused about where we are right now. It does happen sometimes. I have just a little bit of confusion.
It's all right. Your house is quite impressive. Perhaps I could just have Cadwallader show me the door.
Yes, yes, lovely, and do have a lovely fox hunt. And I shall see you at the picnic. I believe that we have found cucumbers, even though it is not the season.
Well, that's most impressive, lady. Most impressive.
I should hope I'm not the first to arrive at this. Oh.
Hello, Father.
You Parson, or even just Sir Hamish would do. Father makes me sound as if I birthed you or had some part in your birth, which I feel quite certain I did not.
Right. All
Out
right.
of necessity.
I am ever so eager, Parson. I'm sorry. I'm ever so eager to meet this Louisa of whom you speak, and her mother and her aunt, and I do so hope them to be a respectable family, for I shall see if they are of a quality to marry my brother.
Well, I have heard that they are of highest quality. I did have the occasion to glimpse Miss Louisa yesterday, and I found her countenance very fair. She is a young and altogether excitable woman who certainly is naive in the way of the world, as from I could gather, but seemed inoffensive to me. I did also meet the aunt, Cordelia. She was a more forward creature.
Hmm.
But I, of course, come without any interest of my own in these two women. I am secure in my bachelordom and need not a woman to warm the hearth of my home,
Well,
for I'm secure in the Lord.
Parson, I do not think that your flock will be content if you shall go unmarried ever long, for the wife of a parson has ever so many duties to which the flock relies, and I cannot imagine that, it is acceptable for you to remain unmarried, for the people will talk.
You do speak true, my lady, and I thank you so much for your wisdom. Perhaps I shall take a more interest in looking at these women such as they are. You're quite right.
Oh,
Oh,
Father, Mem, just setting up for the picnic.
so is it true? I heard rumor that there were to be cucumbers. They are a favorite of mine.
My brother did speak of this, yes, and um,
Might I say,
however they would secure cucumbers, I would think this would be quite a resourceful family to secure them this time of year. And Vicar, I think I shall take a turn about this lovely garden and ponder what shall come after this fox hunt.
of course, Lady Cecily, though I can't imagine any fresh air would aid the countenance of such beauty. Hello, well met,
Yes,
my
Father.
friend.
Well met. I do hope to need your services soon, for
No,
I believe I've struck by Cupid's very arrow here.
oh, that's so exciting. Which of the fair ladies Cantwell has caught your eye?
I must say that I've been rather struck by Lady Louisa.
Oh, she is a wonderful choice, sir. I mean, not quite so aged as the other, and quite malleable, I should gather, to your wills. I think you could instruct her very firmly to behave a certain way, and I suppose she'd do it.
About her, I've met so many limp bouquets of flowers and wilting lilies who exist only to bend to my will, and she's quite something else. She has interests and passions of her own that drive her, and I find it.
You don't find that unsettling? I mean, Your Excellency, I think of you as the wisest of men, and of course, very capable of keeping your own counsel, but a woman who is so lacking in docility, in domesticity, in softness and sentiment, she can be quite a handful to have as a wife, I feel. What say you?
Brother, I must confess, as I came up, I did not hear of whom you were speaking.
He is taken with the Lady Louisa.
Well,
Yes.
Pardon, sir. Hello, it is me, your trusted servant.
Yeah.
But I did as you'd asked, sir, and I found this letter, and I do believe it's. I shall read it to you because I know that
Please.
you'd like to have that because I know that you sometimes have myopia with the eyes. So
Mm.
the letter, it says, "We have researched at your request the family of Louisa Cartwright." I don't know if I got the right word there. I'm sorry. We've researched at your request, and we have found that the Lady Louisa was actually married in the past, even though she's very young. I don't quite understand what it says here, sir.
Lady Louisa, she's so young.
She's
Oh,
only
excuse me.
18.
Yes,
Because they
yeah,
have the names all turned around, they must be referring to someone else. Louisa Cantwell couldn't have possibly been married earlier.
Oh, yes, sir, that's right. It's exactly what it says. Louisa Cantwell. Thank you very much for clarifying it. Yeah, Louisa Cantwell was married at age 10 and 6. That's, I think we just call that 16. She was married at 16 because she ran off with, oh, my goodness, she ran off with the servant. Oh, no, no, no. The servant who was engaged to be married to her aunt. I'm very confused about this, sir. Anyway, I thought you'd like to have it as soon as possible. But there you go, and I'll get back to it if do you need anything else, sir?
I'm
No, I think
shocked.
I'm all right. Here.
If you could please send for the Lady Cantwell, their mother. I feel that she has much to answer for.
Indeed.
Yes, sir. I will be back.
Yes.
Brother Arthur, we must away. We cannot stay in this scandalous home, for it will impugn our good name. And I pray, please.
I think you're right, dear Sister Cecily. I think we can't remain here another moment.
No, do. But please, I've just received word from your manservant. Please, sir.
Dear lady, did you conduct yourself most dishonestly with us in not mentioning that your youngest has been but married and divorced?
Indeed, and at the age of 16, no less. And your other daughter is 4 and 20.
Yes, she's my sister. She's my sister.
Much younger sister.
Well, that explains it. But still, 4 and 20, unmarried. I'm terribly sorry, but I would ask you to do one small favor for me. Would you give this small token of my affection to Miss Louisa? Perhaps it can be something that she can remember me by. I know that I won't forget her, even if we cannot be together.
Oh, so tragic. Oh, so tragic.
Good day.
Madam, I, as parson of your grounds, I have but no choice but to maintain the introduction to you, despite my misgivings as to your family's respectability. I nevertheless do but keep my engagement to your picnic simply because I am duty bound as the parson of your very own estate. But I am shocked.
Something.
Did you throw away that token of the Duke's affection?
Yes, I did. For I do not want Louisa's heart to be broken yet again. I threw it in the pond.
Please, ma'am, you must confess to me what circumstances led for a girl so young to run off and be married in such disagreeable manner, and to betray her aunt so. It's cruel, callous.
Father, I will explain it all to you, but it is a story that takes much time, and yes, doubtless, having moved to the parish, if you were here for very long, you will have heard it from Mrs. Brownstone, for she loves to relate it over and over and over again.
I had not heard it. I should wonder at that.
When we were girls, my sister and I am a fair bit older than my sister,
Mm-hmm.
there was there was a young man who grew up with us on our estate, and he is a distant cousin, I do believe, of our family, and so of course he grew up with us on our estate. However, his circumstances, he fell on hard circumstances, and what little money that he had was recklessly taken from him in a theft by the road, and he was driven down. My father at the time, because he did feel compassion and a sense of responsibility for this young man, my
Mhm.
father took him on as a servant on our estate.
And gave him access and trust to these women unchaperoned. I see this is
Little did
often.
he know that this entire time, this young man and Cordelia, my sister, I had already married at this time and I was not at home, or I might have seen something and stopped it, but they came to an agreement with each other. However, at the same time, this young man came to an agreement with my Louisa, who was staying for the summer with her grandpapa.
That's shocking.
It is quite terrible.
Shocking.
And they did indeed run off, and they did indeed, and I will confess it, they did indeed get married.
Then by
They
what
got
means?
married, though. I will say they went to Ireland. They did marry. We do have the certificate to prove it. And then a terrible thing happened. On their way back to our estates, he was hit in a tragic carriage accident.
No.
Not survive.
How dreadful. This entire tale is just so devastating. But
And
Louisa, is her virtue preserved, or it doesn't? I cannot say.
No, I don't know if her virtue is preserved. I highly doubt it, really, if we're talking about that.
That's scandalous indeed.
But she was married. That is the important thing. We do have the documents to prove.
And a widow at 60. Well,
And
it does help that she's a widow. It certainly helps. And perhaps if we could determine that her virtue was preserved, the Duke might.
Oh, is that really necessary?
Oh, I should think it's probably necessary for the Duke.
I'm sure that her virtue was not preserved. She was married.
That's going to be kind of a deal breaker.
Fine.
It's not for me. I honestly am quite turned
understand.
off. I strongly prefer my women to be unadulterated, pure as the driven snow is my motto.
True, Becca. Are you really looking only for women pure as the driven snow, or is that just
I'm a man of God.
patriarchy?
Well, I am willing to consider your spinster sister. She sounds like she has been untouched.
Ill-used and untouched, yes, as far as I know.
That's how I like them. So,
Well, I don't really care about
no.
what you do and what
Oh,
my sister does.
my lady, that grieves me so much to hear, as I had thought to advocate on your behalf to the Duke.
Well,
But now I feel so disinclined. I shall ride for the Duke and see if I might entreat him to hear this rather scandalous tale very quickly. Oh!
Yes, I'm given to understand that Duke has left the fox hunt.
Oh, yes, after we heard the news that your daughter had been previously married.
Yes, well, I think I can explain. I need to talk to my wife. Well, I'll go to a great house and get our family Bible. It'll explain everything. I could just find the right records. Find something.
Fitzwilliam, what are we to do?
My dear, if you'll just give me a moment, I think I have the information about what happened. I need to locate it here somewhere. Just a moment. Aha! Yes. No, I found it right here, our family Bible. The information about Louisa's annulments and the tragic death of her husband. I knew we had it at the family records. It's right here. All laid out in black and white from the church. proper as anything and signed by Reverend Charles H. Ricker of, of Lancashire. It's all spelled out. Louisa's technically a widow and
Yep, I know.
marriageable.
She's marriageable. I know, she's a widow. It's really not a problem, is it? No, there's no problem.
It's all right here. It's all spelled out properly.
Spelled out properly. So we must get that Duke to understand. I think the sister is the answer. She'll understand.
Duchess Cecily.
Duchess
Yes.
Cecily.
If I may interject, my dear family, I have a letter I thought I should read. I received it from Parson Hamish. It reads in full. Dear lady, I have heard with a grievous heart of how wronged you have been in the past in the conduct of your family, those that you would trust the most, and they have left you ill-used and untouched, and I shall remedy that situation. If you would consent to it and give your hand in marriage, I should take you as the lady of my parsonage. Signed most sincerely and with an open heart, Pastor Hamish.
Well, Cordelia, I'm very, very happy for you. I do think that this Hamish fellow is a scion of the patriarchy, but I don't really know what that means. So I think you should absolutely follow your heart, but I do think your heart, I'd say, marry the bloke.
I'm sorry. As if I would take your advice and the contrary. When last time I listened to you, it was to the effect of, "Oh, my daughter has no designs on your intended. Oh, my daughter has no want for your soon-to-be spouse. No." And then what was it that happened? What should come to pass? But that blissful matrimony between she and he, so short-lived, so sad.
Well, I can just say that I'm glad that you won't be ending up living in our attic room at the age of 85.
Now you'll have to reserve that room for Louisa, whose reputation is, of course, ruined. I tried to prevent her from getting this information out, but who could stop her?
Well, I think that the parsonage is practically calling your name.
Yes, I fell away.
A proper vicar's wife. You can look down your nose at every woman in the entire county.
Oh, but I will start close to home. Close to home, indeed.
Sure.
Good day and good luck.
My darling, we need to get that paper to Duchess Cecily and the Duke Arthur. I think that if they could just see it for themselves, I think they would understand our poor Louisa, just through sheer unfortunate circumstance, just happens to be a widow, but is no less marriageable than any other fine young girl who also rides horses, hunts foxes, shoots shotguns, and rather enjoys killing a good grouse now and then. Love her as if she were she is almost my son.
Master, did you want something from me? I was taking a nap.
Yes, no, I do. I'd like you to ferry something to... No, never mind. I think I need to go and ferry this message to Duchess Cecily herself.
All right, I'll just go back to bed then.
Yes, quite. I think I shall go to Duchess Cecily myself and make poor Louisa's case. Lady Cecily, thank you so much for taking my card. I'm Fitzwilliam. You may remember me.
Of course, sir. Pray tell, what business have you here? I do not believe that our last meeting was called for another.
Well, I have something that's, well, it's rather important. You see, it's this.
Read it.
Read it.
Right.
It's a document signed by Reverend Charles H. Ricker of Lancashire. It states that, well, everything that you've been told in my garden is true. That Louisa, my daughter, is in fact a young widow. She is of marriageable age and it will quite properly give her hand to anyone that
Anyone?
I choose.
Well, I must confess, I have had a letter from the Lady Louisa herself, and in it she claims that this husband of hers was quite ill, and therefore her virtue is intact. And you know, I'm not quite sure what to make of it. Although I do think that we are no longer in the 11th century, and as a woman myself, we are under such quite tight bonds, and I must confess, I'm not sure what to make of it. I'm quite inclined toward leniency, although I do not wish to bring scandal.
If I may, I am so pleased to meet you. I'm the future Mrs. Parson Hamish. I've come because I am the aunt to the girl in question, and I have come to vouch for her honesty and virtue being intact. I know it very well, as she confessed to me, and I know that she has never been sullied and is in fact as pure and docile a creature as any Duke could hope for.
Well, I must confess, I must have time to think on this. I shall pray and I shall think. I am quite inclined toward leniency, although I wish not to make any commitments of my family until I speak with my brother and we decide what shall be done.
Well, make it that decision in haste, for I would love a double wedding.
Indeed.
Brother?
Oh, just a moment. I must confess I've been a bit down as of late.
Well, I must speak with you. That family of upstarts has been to see us again, and I must confess they are growing on me, and with quite a reasonable explanation as to Louisa's being a widow. And you know, brother, I love you so, and I do not wish to be the one to stand in the way of happiness, but I am not sure it is appropriate that you two shall marry.
Well, I don't care about appropriate anymore, Cecily. I'm going to marry that girl, and that's simply that. The moment I find that parson, I'm going to take him by the scruff of the neck, put him on my horse, and marry that beautiful young woman and make her my duchess.
Well, I suppose if my dear brother is so determined and I wish to maintain our relationship, I shall consent to this marriage.
Oh, what a day. What a beautiful day to become a married woman. It's so fine.
Oh, Aunt, I don't know how to thank you for. I thought you were set to leave me a widow forever, for I thought you hated what I had done, you know, with Nigel, but you've brought this all together for me, and I love you. I love you ever so much, and I love
you, dear Louisa. And as a parson's wife, it was important to me that I see my family be returned to the utmost of respectability, and so I did what had to be done.
I see now that you were born to be a parson's wife and to tend to his flock, and you are ever so radiant and ravishing at it.
Oh, and you, so full in the bloom of youth. I congratulate you both.
Oh, don't look at me, sir. It's our wedding day. Don't look at me.
Oh, no.
Dearly beloved, I think we are gathered here today to marry some people, and and we shall marry them.
We're all married. I'm married already.
I now pronounce you man and wife.
Chin chin.
Off to the wedding breakfast.
Oh,
And all ended so sensibly. Indeed. Mm.
Indeed.
Indeed.
huzzah.
Huzzah.
Okay. Thank you for watching. If you watched, or if you were a robot that was programmed to comment randomly during this production, we appreciate your patronage. Yep, we are No Pants. We have an abbreviated show schedule for the next month, well, during the holidays, but we have many fine things coming up, right?
Yes, December Sundays at 6:30 Central. We'll be doing shows. I know the first show in December is the Conspiracy Theory Talk Show. So join us for that. And
I think I live in that show.
We've got some other hijinks coming up also, and it's going to be great times for everybody. So tune in or keep your eye out on the No Pants Improv Facebook page or Instagram or here on this